following on other economic developments as well, and that is the selection of Donald Trump's economic team. And it's some pretty impressive individuals, but the inspiration for a lot of this and for a lot of the talk you're hearing began with this guy, Steve Moore, who joins us right now. And Steve, very good to have you.
Hi, Neil.
You know, Steve, one thing caught my interest when Steve Mnuchin was on our air earlier, and among many, but this particular exchange got me going about the upper income tax rates. If we can listen to this.
Yeah.
And we're going to simplify the personal income tax, lower from 7 brackets down to 3, simplify it, deliver a very significant middle income tax cut that's going to be combined with the child care program. And the other aspect of it is on the upper end, we'll cut the tax rate, but it will be offset with a significant reduction of deductions. So for the upper class, it won't be a tax cut, but it will be a simplification. It will lower the marginal rate, which will spur investment.
All right, that part for the upper class, it will not be a tax cut. A lot of upper class, all classes watch this fine show, as you know, just like all classes read and watch and follow you. If they get wind of the fact that something they were taking for granted, that they were going to get a big old tax cut, and it turns out with deductions they might not, what do you think?
Well, if people have been listening, because that's the way we've formulated this from the start, Neil. In fact, one of the instructions we had from Donald Trump, and I worked with Steve Mnuchin in putting this together, and he played obviously a key role, was to, Donald Trump at the first meeting said, I don't want a tax cut for rich people. I want it to be for the middle class. So what we did, the way we devised this plan, was we figured out how much money can we save if we eliminate all the exemptions from high-income people. And I forget the number. It's about $200 billion. Then we asked the people who run the numbers, if we get rid of these deductions for these high-income people, how much can we cut the rate by? And it came out to about 33, 34%. So Steve Mnuchin is exactly right. What we're doing is taking away their deductions, lowering their tax rates. Now, that probably sounds familiar to you, Neil, because that's what Ronald Reagan did in 1986. He brought the tax
wealthy
rates down.
But Steve, the wealthy then still netted a very big, tax bonanza. Are you saying now that the wealthy will not, that it's going to be a wash? Because while that might be popular politically to sell to the American people, maybe even get Democratic votes, you and I probably know some rich people who say, wait a minute.
Well, look, by bringing those rates down, we're going to make the system much more competitive, much more efficient, and they're going to be gains for everybody. I mean, we learned this back in '86, and Reagan did the same thing. We got a lot of economic growth out of that.
All right, so, but I do want to present the hundreds of thousands of dollars that a lot of the rich guys that you know and go out with and don't go to John George's and all that, then they find out that it's not going to be that. I don't know if that's even the case.
Okay,
what do you
Neil,
think?
let me ask you a question. I mean, you're a rich guy. Do you have over $100,000 a year on your tax return data of tax deductions?
Do you honestly think I would tell you that?
Well, you're not going to divulge your tax return?
You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
But here's my point.
No, I think this is a brilliant way to sell a tax cut package. To say those rich fat cats are not going to get any break. But is that in fact the case that net, it's going to be simpler, but I would still argue there, Steve, for rich guys, they have the, SWAT teams of accountants, they don't really care about the simplicity. Maybe when it comes to re-strategizing their investments, I guess. But do you think that they're in for a surprise?
Well, look, I think, with all due respect, Neil, you're buying into the kind of liberal rhetoric on this.
No, I'm not. I'm buying into what I heard Steve Mnuchin say to Maria Bartiromo.
But the reason we want to cut tax rates is not to give a big tax break to rich people. We want to make the economy grow faster. We want more jobs. Now, people at the top, if you look at people in the top 2%, how many times have I said this on your show? Right. 2/3 of those people are small business owners, operators, and investors. If they have more money, guess what? They can put more of that money into the business and hire more workers.
But they won't have more money, right?
But they're going to have a much more, look, bringing the rates down gives them an incentive to invest more, right? And to hire more workers.
They're not going to have much more net. And by the way, that might be fine because it's a great way to sell and pitch a tax cut to say, no, the fat cats aren't getting away with murder. In fact, they're not getting any break.
Yeah, right. They're not getting any tax cut. Who is getting the tax cut? Right. It is aimed at the people at the middle. And look, the people who are financially stressed out around these countries tend to be the people, who earn between $30,000 and $60,000, $70,000.
I'm the one, I guess, who has to talk to Sean Hannity and break it to him. And it's not going to go
Neil, you're not getting a big tax cut. I hate to break that news to you.
All right, well, you just break it to Hannity, because it's going to be a very long night. All right, Steve Moore,
Great to be with you.
Thank you very much.
But we are going to get 4% growth out of this, though.
All right,
that's a big deal.
We shall see, my friend. Thank